Hello, and welcome back to 4th edition. Today we're going to be talking about Divine Powers. Now, this is the source book that was obviously for the Divine Powers characters. I actually like this book a lot because I'm a big fan of more and more options for your characters. And this one took your 4 Divine classes before the Player's Handbook 2. The Avenger, the Cleric, and the Invoker, and the Paladin. And it gave them a good bit more options. And I was really happy with them. It gives new base builds, because when you pick some of these classes, you automatically have to pick a style, a form. Like, what's a good example? A wizard has to pick an implement master at level 1, and just things like that. And I'm a big fan of getting more and more options. And what this book did was it doubled the amount of powers that you could have for your choices for your character. So right off the bat, it's done a really good job of offering up new ideas for your character. It then went in to give new Paragon paths. For example, the Avenger gets the Ardent Champion, the Dervish of Dawn, the Dread Imperator, and the Favorite Soul, the Relentless Slayer, the Serene Initiate, the Watchful Shepherd, and the Weapon of Fortune. So right there, you know, we've, I believe, triple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There. Yeah, we've now tripled the number of Paragon paths for the Avenger, because now we have 12 as opposed to 4. Each with their own unique stuff. Then the Cleric gets a more defensive new build called the Shielding Cleric, and some new at-will power choices, and actually a lot of really, really cool new spells that they can cast. So, you know, they did a really good job with the Cleric, giving them the Anointed Champion, the Astral Savant, the Battle Chaplain, the Compassionate Healer, the Holy Emissary, the Messenger of Peace, the Miracle Worker, and Seldarin Dedicate, the Stonekeeper, and one of my favorites, the Truth Seeker, which is just, I like it because it's unique from the other Paragon paths of 4E, and the fact that this one's devoted to more of a role-playing idea than a system idea, I guess you could say. Because right off the bat, I mean, you have this entire Inquisitor mind set. I really like it. I just like how they built it for that sole purpose. Move on to the Invoker, if you don't remember, is the very spellcasting controller type. And they get some really cool new abilities. They go into far more power than like grand power. Like they begin to rival the Wizard in flair. So it's really, really cool, and they get some nasty ass abilities like Apocalypse from the Sky, Burst 2. A pit fills the area of the burst, and it is 10 foot deep. Any creature fully within the area of this pit descends 10 feet, taking no falling damage for descending that different distance. So, I mean, right there, you've trapped your enemy. Now you can have all kinds of fun with them while they're stuck in a pit. I like that. Their Paragon paths are the Adept of Whispers, Crimson Arbiter, Devoted Orator, Divine Hand, Divine Philosopher, Keeper of the Nine, Speaker of the Word, Stonecaller, Third of the Compact, and Vessel of Ichor? I-C-H-O-R, so however that is. And they're all pretty cool. Moving on into the Paladin of it, they get actually 2 different types, the Virtuous and the Ardent, which is actually really cool. And, you know, Paladins being pretty badass in 4E, they get some pretty nice abilities. They get the Champion of Corellon, the Elven God, Demon Slayer, Dragon Slayer. Both those are throwbacks to 2nd edition, in my opinion. back to the kits of Demon and Dragon Slayer. Faithful Shield, Grey Guard, one of my personal favorites. The Grey Guards are hunters of. They essentially do all the dirty work for their church. If it's morally questionable, they send the Grey Guards. So they're just a really cool class, like a role playing wise. The Hammer of Moradin, the Holy Conqueror, Knight of the Chalice, and Questing Knight, Scion of Sacrifice, and Slayer of the Dead, another really, really cool one. But then they go into divine options. Now, some of these are they begin to bring back the domains, and yeah, I don't believe they're feats. Yeah, they are. You essentially now can get domain feats. I believe that's how they're used. Yeah, and they give you unique things based on your deity's domain. So it was good to see them bring back the domain idea, because whereas it could be annoying in some points, because if you were super limited in what you could do, I did enjoy it because it had that nice flavor. So to see them bring it back was a big bonus. And there's some pretty cool ones in here. You know, they cover all manners of domains. Then they go on to elaborate even further on the deities. That I believe all the ones that were in the PHB 1. Yeah, all the ones that were in the PHB 1. And then they go into a little bit about each of the clerics, not the clerics, but each of the classes, and how they kind of view their religion and what they really do for that religion. So it's pretty cool to see how they designed it. Then they go into more backgrounds, which is, I mean, you got some things like veteran of religious war, convert, all that stuff. So it's really, really cool. Yeah, it adds a lot to your character when you take these religious backgrounds, more so than racial backgrounds, because now your DM can look at your character and be like, okay, well, I see that you were a veteran of religious war. Well, I've got a religious war over here, so we'll write that in, and then now all of a sudden your character's got this full-fledged background from, you know, say just a couple of these points. We get some new feats. They're alright. I mean, they're about as useful as divine feats from previous editions. You know, all highly specialized. So if you're looking for a specific thing, chances are you'll find it. If you're just kind of perusing, chances are you won't find anything you want. I never do when I read through Complete Divine, Complete Champion. I never did find anything just in general that was like, oh, that's really cool. However, if I go looking for something specific, then I'm like, oh, well, that's really cool. For example, I looked through some of these and I was like, oh, I don't see anything. But then I found a couple of feats, like, where is it? It's a Parafrontier. It is called Radiant Vessel. You hit with a Radiant Power that turn, and when you use your healing word, you heal an extra 2d6. So that's pretty cool. And there's a lot of stuff like that. Then they get into the Epic Destinies. Now the first couple are self-explanatory. They're not nearly as grand as in name as some of the other ones. Like we have the Avatar of Death, of Freedom, of Hope, of Justice, of Life, of Storm, of War. That's all the avatars, and they're pretty cool in the sense that you know, all of a sudden you have this almighty power based on what your god is. Then we move on into the Chosen. Your deity makes you a living vessel of his or her power in the mortal world. And they get a whole bunch of really cool stuff that they get to pick from, depending on what their god is. We get the Exalted Angel, which turns you into an angel, which is a pretty badass one, actually. We get the Saint, which is another really cool one. And then we get into something that I'm really, really happy with. The Rituals. The very back of the book, actually. But the Rituals I was really, really happy with. I'm going to skim through them real fast. There's only a handful of them. But the first one's Adjure. And what it allows you to do is make an attempt to command and order an immortal of your level or lower. So, I mean, you walk into a room, there's some, I think a devil counts as an immortal. You just order it. and it has to obey you. That's pretty cool. Cool. Well, no, I guess you can't really do that because it takes an hour to do it. Oh no. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you prep it and then you can cast it later. That's pretty cool. Create Holy Water is one I'm very happy with. I didn't know it when I bought it, and my character in my long running 4E game does not have that Holy Water, and now I've realized how awesome Holy Water would be as a weapon. So I'm definitely gonna have to get some. Next is Ease Spirit, which can lessen someone's death penalty when they're resurrected. You know, they're fatigued for a very, very long time. Then we get Hallowed Temple, which I believe there was a previous version in 3.5 to make a temple. But you essentially summon this temple for 8 hours that, you know, anywhere just go, boom, temple. I just think that's really cool. Iron Vigil allows you to essentially take on the trance state for elf. Only you don't, you still have to rest for 8 hours, but you can do it fully conscious, so that's pretty cool. Mark of Justice is one where you could mark a spy. I'll just read it. Some lessons are best learned through suffering. Your magic ensures that the guilty creature continues its offenses only at great peril. So essentially, you designate an action. You mark this creature. Either they're helpless or they're willing. Most likely helpless. And if they perform said action, they can take a penalty of... Here, some of the examples are, whenever the subject, for the next 24 hours, when the subject makes a d20 roll, a successful d20 roll, it must roll again and use the second result. So that's really a pain in the ass, but it's really cool. Weakness of Flesh, for the next 24 hours, the subject gains a vulnerable 10 to all damage. That could kill you. And Curse of Solitude, the subject is blinded and deafened for 24 hours. That's just mean. And there's one for Consecrating Ground. And there's also one called Thief's Lament, which you ward an area so that all thievery and stealth checks take a -5 penalty while inside of it. So I was really happy with all of these, with this book. I picked it up for about, I want to say about $15. And I mean, I love playing Divine Classes, so I think this book is awesome to pick up if that's what you're interested in. I think that they did a really good job with their powers line. So I think the next one we'll review will be... We're going to do the rules. No. Yes, we'll do... we'll do Here's the Forgotten Realm. Forgotten Kingdom next. So, until next week, have a good one.